All right. We're here for another episode.
Another one.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're watching, if you're following us along on YouTube, hopefully once we get these episodes up onto audio platforms, thanks for listening again. Thanks for watching again, whatever you choose to do. This is the Workforce Solutions Alamo podcast. I think we're on episode number 4.
4, yes. The 4th episode.
Yeah.
We're moving up.
Perfect. Yeah. So welcome back. Thank you everyone for following. I hope you guys are having an amazing quarantine. Everybody's staying safe. My name is Allan Shahadi. If you don't know yet, I am one of the supervisors over the data point office over by the medical center.
And I'm Victor Givens. I am the center supervisor for the East Houston location.
It's nice to have you back, man.
Yes.
Always fun to chat. And we do have more guests that are going to be chatting with us as well. Today we're meeting with the THRU Project, THRU. And we would love for y'all to, introduce ourselves to everyone.
Hi, I'm Elaine and Chris. I'm the CEO and co-founder of THRU Project.
Hello, my name is Chris Lopez. I'm the program manager for THRU Project.
We're really happy to have y'all here. Very, very interesting company. We love to talk to people in the community. Victor and I love the San Antonio community, and we love to talk to other people in the community that are helping as much as we try to help, if not way more. So I'm really happy that y'all are here today.
Yes.
Before we get rolling, do you guys have any questions for us, just kind of off the bat?
We're just going to let you lead us here.
Perfect.
Yeah. So if you can, just THRU Project. What is THRU Project?
Well, I'll just start with, I'm not sure how much you know about foster care or growing up in foster care, but I think, before I started this, we had foster sons, and I think I just thought most kids go back to their biological families or they're adopted. And for many, many kids, that's just not true. So these are kids that grow up in foster care. And unfortunately, the history of foster care has been growing up in foster care means multiple placements, homes, schools, and these kids never really get a chance to connect to people. I mean, we routinely have kids that have had 15, 18 placements by the time they're 18 years old. And then when they leave care at 18, they're suddenly supposed to know how to be an adult. So they're leaving without any permanent housing, little education or job training because they've moved around so much. And what we found most important was that they were leaving without even one trusted adult in their life. So unfortunately, this leads to really horrible levels of incarceration and homelessness, unemployment, and victimization. And so what we wanted to do, we knew that mentoring worked. And so we wanted to start a program for youth that were preparing to leave foster care or had left foster care. And just having that one stable person in their life can make the biggest impact. It keeps them in school. It keeps them out of trouble for the most part. It can even delay parenthood. And then in addition to that, our goal is to work with organizations like Workforce Solutions. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we work with a lot of different organizations in private industry to just try to fill in the gaps that keep these kids from being a success. So we added, the first thing we added, I think, was bus pass. So our kids can have a reliable transportation to school and to work. So that's a free bus pass that they get, as long as they have a mentor. And then we added a phone program. So we're providing smartphones for our kids. And that, again, keeps them in touch with their mentor, their resources, their work and school. And then we started a couple years ago, a pilot housing program that was very successful. And we're actually in partnership with Family Tapestry and Saha to expand that program. And that's where I leave it to Chris, because Chris is the one that works day to day and has such a long history with foster youth, including with my foster sons. Chris, I'm going to talk to you about my foster son after this.
We would love to hear from
you. We have an issue.
Chris, I would love to, we're going to go through a little bit later about your day-to-day, because I know that kind of boots on the ground. I'm sure you're right there with all of them. A couple more things, just kind of the overall scope of THRU Project, because I know like Victor used to work on our youth side.
Yes, I was previously the Youth Empowerment Services lead. So we actually had a great referral system with THRU Project. I thought that this would be a great way for Ms. Hartle and Mr. Lopez to come on and just, help spread the word of their organization.
For sure.
And what they do.
You have a little bit more knowledge about the process and all this stuff. I think you also have a little bit of experience with Saha as well, which
Yes.
I know that you just described as a partner too. I, on the other hand, am coming in kind of blind here. A lot of my work with workforce has been either adult side or contract work, or my hands have been a little bit clean of the youth project. I haven't really gotten some time to work there. So I'm sorry, some of my questions sound a little bit, straightforward or a little bit simple. But when it comes to the youth that you tend to work with, so it sounds like you said 14 and older, so
Foster
youth,
yes.
They phase out at 18, right?
Yeah, we don't have an age cap. So if they've been in foster care, we'll still work with them into their 20s, however long they need.
Oh, okay. So even if they just have a history of being in the foster care programs, they're still invited through y'all. Okay. That's really, really cool. Let me throw it over, because I have your mission. The first thing I wanted to look up was y'all's mission statement. I know, especially from C2 and workforce, that is something that we pride ourselves very strongly about, is that, my team know our mission statement. So I wanted to go ahead and see y'all's. And I really see a lot of ties, what you guys are doing to what workforce does, obviously on different levels, just because we work in different worlds. But I like seeing that dedication to a cause and that dedication to a certain community.
Yeah, it seems it's like you're trying to eliminate the barrier of being in foster care. And, that's something that we at Workforce, we're trying to do with our customers, is eliminate any barriers to employment. So it's awesome to hear that.
So does it seem like we have a little bit of an understanding, at least on my end, anything we said that may be a little bit off or a little bit wrong or misinterpreted or anything like that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that's a really good explanation. We're trying to remove the barriers. We want to provide support. We want to provide a connection to someone and to the community, because a lot of times these kids don't feel connected to anyone. Mm-hmm. So, but so much of it is just what you said. It's seeing where the gaps are and how do we overcome those gaps.
So I have a question about kind of San Antonio in general. Again, I'm not super familiar with the foster care programs in San Antonio. So is there like a large population in San Antonio compared to other cities, since we are quite a large city, or is it kind of the same everywhere? Or how do you see the environment of this here in San Antonio?
Well, San Antonio has one of the largest foster care populations in the state of Texas. I think we're third or maybe even second behind Dallas and Houston. There's, I want to say, about 1,400 young adults every year that age out of the foster care system. And when I say age out, at the age of 18, they have the right to leave the foster care system, or if they want, they can stay in care until they're 21. So we do have a pretty good number of young adults here in Bexar County that's a part of the foster care system.
And even if they were in foster care outside of the city, most of these kids will eventually gravitate toward the city, because that's where most of the help that they can get is in the city. So we're going to see them at some point.
So let's just say that, I'm a 17-year-old foster individual. How would what would the process be? Can you just walk us through y'all's process and how you start assisting these individuals?
So what we do is we go out quite a bit out into the community well before COVID happened. be going out into the community, doing presentations, talking to youth, and to possible mentors about getting into our program, and explained it. And 9 out of 10 youth were, sign me up. You mean I'm going to have somebody who is not being paid to be a part of my life? I mean, and it's going to listen to me and take me, to lunch or whatever the case may be. I mean, sign me up. So we get out there, we explain the program. We want to make sure that the young adults are interested before signing them up. And then we have them go to our website and fill out an application at THRUproject.org. There we get their information. We get their contact, email, cell phone. We also do an attribute list. It's kind of like a dating service that we have. We want to make sure that we match these young adults with mentors that have the same interests. So, we don't want to match somebody who's into sports with somebody who's into art and reading and things like that. So we want to make sure that they have some kind of common ground beforehand. But we want to make sure that it's a comfortable process for both the mentor and the mentee. And once that happens, our outreach specialist contacts the young adult and the mentor and exchanges information, so that way they can start texting each other or FaceTiming or whatever the case may be before they actually meet in person. So that way there's not that awkwardness going on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So from what I understand there, we recruit and train adult volunteers to serve as mentors. So they may not count directly as staff. How big is your staff operation? If you don't mind me asking.
No, it's just people are always surprised because we do a lot with a little, but including me, there's 6 of us. And so,
wow.
Yeah, myself,
okay.
a fund development manager, and then Chris and his team do all the real work.
Okay. That's awesome. Actually, that's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
So how many mentors would y'all say you typically have working at any given time or volunteering at any given time?
It kind of fluctuates. Sometimes we'll have a vast number of mentors coming in after we train them. So we'll probably have maybe 40 to 60 volunteers waiting to get matched with a young adult. And then, we'll focus on recruiting more young adults. So then, it's just kind of like a juggling act as far as that goes. Currently, we have 183 young adults that are matched with a mentor. And we have about maybe, I would say about 20 mentors that are waiting to be matched with a young adult. So
that's
it's amazing.
6 people.
Yeah.
With that many mentors, that is impressive.
That's how much.
Well, I don't want to leave out. We have a wonderful board too, and it's a working board. So we probably have a lot more staff if it weren't for them. But yeah,
So it says here that THRU Project began in July 2011. I don't mean to stump you off. This if you need to go through record books. But how many youth would you say that you've helped in that time span? Almost 10 years now.
That's weird. I've never done that. I've never calculated that figure. But I would say close to 1,000, Chris, at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. The 1,000 mark, we're right there. So
that's awesome.
That's these numbers. I'm still kind of stuck on the fact that it's a 6-man operation helping so much in the community. There's you truly are with the number of people you have doing the most, if not, I'm sure you guys still have a lot to do, but it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. And it seems like it's your work never stops,
Yeah. Well, it's a really dedicated staff. They're dedicated to these kids, and they're fantastic. And, we've also been very fortunate. We've always reached out to, a private industry as well and worked with them and have gotten amazing support. So I think it's a real combination. We've really worked hard to make sure that we reach out to the community in many different ways. We want employers and private industry to be involved and to know about these kids and to, help us come up with ways to make their lives better. As far as our housing program, that really started with a property management company that had 13 different properties around the city. I went to the apartment association and said, this is what I think we should do. And by lunch, they had called me and said, we want to help. So it's a lot of it is reaching out, as you know, into the community and trying to find those partnerships, because we can't do it by ourselves. That's for sure.
What happened July 2011 that made you want to start THRU Project?
Well, my husband and I had brought 2 teen foster sons into our home because we thought we knew what we were doing and we didn't. But just through that, I started to see, and Chris was working with my foster son and with a different organization. And, I could just see all the opportunities that were there and the different programs, but I started to ask what happens to these kids that don't have a foster parent that can stay with them after 18, because I could see how ill-prepared my foster sons were. And so, I talked to several organizations about, a mentor program. I thought mentoring works. We already know that. Why don't we have someone for these kids when they leave? And so everybody seemed to like that idea. I reached out to a friend of ours who was a big philanthropist and told him, I had lunch with him and I said, I don't see anybody else with this organization. I don't understand why it's not being done. And I said, I think we could start something like this. And he said, it's so weird that you said that to me, because I've been on the board with this guy named Steve O'Donnell of Our Lady of the Lake. He said, I think for like 9 years. And he said, just 2 weeks ago, he told me, I don't tell people this, but I used to be in foster care and I really want to do something for older foster kids. And so we had lunch together. It was like Southwest Airlines on a little piece of paper. And he said, I'll fund you for the first 6 months. And that's where we are. He's still on our board and just made a tremendous impact for us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, to be honest. You had brought up your foster kids at a little bit earlier on, because that's kind of where my mind went, was when I read foster care and like foster youth. For some reason, my brain didn't really connect to the older population of that. For some reason, it seems to go straight to infants, 10 and under.
Once you're a foster youth, at one point you were always a foster youth.
Yeah. And that wasn't something that connected my mind. So I don't know if that's a barrier that you guys have seen or not, or just a general thought process that people outside of the community may have. But, the older population absolutely needs assistance. And that's amazing that you picked up on that and were able to make it a reality. So I kind of want to go back to the mentors really quick, because I know that you asked about if you are a foster youth, the process of getting involved. On the other side of that, you said you do have mentors waiting. How is that process? So if I'm looking to be a mentor for someone, how do you guys vet that? What process do they go through? What checks do you guys do to make sure that these people are genuinely going to help? Like, how is all that? Because I'm sure you have to know the mentors just as well as the actual youth.
Right, absolutely. So with the process of becoming a mentor, we do have an application process online that we ask our mentors to fill out. We do background checks through the Department of Family and Protective Services. So not only criminal checks, but also checks within Child Protective Services as well. And then we do a training with them. During that training, we don't sugarcoat it. We say this is what you're probably going to be dealing with, because a lot of these young adults have gone through trauma. So it's not going to be sunshine, rainbows, and puppy dogs. It's going to be, gray skies, thunderstorms, whatever the case may be. So we make sure that the mentors understand what they're getting into. We also, after their match, we send out surveys every quarter to the mentors, so that way they know that we're there And if there's anything that they need help with, they're more than welcome to call us. So it's kind of, we're with them. Yeah, they're the boots on the ground. They're working with the young adults, helping them out as much as they can. But they can always feel free to pick up the phone and call us at any time. And we'll help out with any resources that they may need for their youth, or just process, what's going on between the match between the mentee and the mentor. So
that almost sounds like, Chris, you were on the clock 24 hours a day. You got the phone ready. Something happens at 3 a.m. You're there to provide support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of our cell phones are on 24/7. This isn't a typical 9-to-5 job. I've gotten phone calls at 3, 4 a.m. from youth. I've gotten phone calls from mentors at late at night. So on the weekends. So, but I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love what I do. I love working with this population. I love advocating and spreading the message for foster youth. So.
It's nice. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it's like you said, most people don't, like I did. I really didn't think about older kids and having to leave foster care and what that process was like. And so, as Chris said, there can be a lot of trauma. It's not a volunteer situation where you come in and you get to do something one day and walk away feeling, great. It might take a while to really get that bond with that youth. I'm always amazed at our volunteers because they really feel for these kids, and we continue to get new volunteers. And I think also when they start to they learn the stories of our youth and they see how resilient they've managed to be, what they've managed to do, without any help. They feel like they need to step up and do their part and help them, see them the rest of the way through.
That's awesome. So I just have one more question about THRU Project, and I think it was transition to you guys as individuals. But just brag to us a little bit. What is the success story? The first one that comes to your head.
Oh, geez.
I think Jacob is always the one that comes to my head.
Who's that?
There's so many.
Yeah. Our housing program, the first person we put in was a young man, and he was living in his car. Chris knew him for a while, working with him, and living in his car, was about to get repossessed. Couldn't keep a job, obviously, because he was having to move the car. And we put him in our housing program. And with our housing program, they get their apartment rent free for an entire year and basic furniture and setup. But during that time, they have to, of course, meet with their mentor. They have to attend life skills classes so they learn how to live independently. And they also have to put money into a savings account every month, and that grows every quarter. So the idea was at the end of that, they leave with money and support and the knowledge that they need to live independently. So Jacob came in, from living in his car. A year later, that same young man had paid off his car. He'd also had a lot of debt. He paid off his debt. He had about $5,000 in savings. I think Chris had a really good job, had worked his way up in a job. And he's now, living on his own. I think he's actually looking at purchasing a house, which is unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's an amazing man. Just somebody in the program.
Yeah, I think for me, the success story that I always think about is a young lady by the name of Robin. I knew Robin when she was 17 years old before I started working with THRU Project at another organization, and connected her with THRU Project. She had a mentor. She went to UTSA, graduated with her bachelor's, and now she's our program outreach coordinator. She works with us. So it's great to see that a young adult that, was 17, didn't know what to do, didn't know what she was going to do with her life, is now, I call my coworker, and I just think it's unbelievable that she's out there spreading, and advocating for foster youth.
I guess that's kind of like the perfect circle there.
Yeah.
is like being helped in some way and then deciding that you also want to help people in the same situation. So that's, I mean, it can't get any better than that. Either being completely self-sufficient and out entirely, or self-sufficient and in the rotation. So that's amazing. So I kind of want to shift over very quickly. We're going to use about like 5-6 minutes left. To talk a little bit about workforce and the involvement that you guys have had. Now, it's not so much for y'all to like brag about us or any involvement that you guys have done with us. We would be considered a partner if we work with y'all. And I know that youth has done, some referring back and forth in some capacity. But when it comes to partnerships, is there anything specific that y'all look for? Is there anything that you need necessarily or anything you don't need? What are some of the keys? Like if we were going to expand our partnership out more, what would be some of the things that you look for that would help you in the community that you're trying to assist?
I'm sure Chris will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's, we want to work with organizations that are as dedicated to this group as we are. At least I want to understand them and understand the barriers they have. I think I think Workforce has been really great in trying to adjust their programs for our population, because not all of them can just sit down and do a 6-week course. They have to be working. They have to, maybe the time doesn't agree with them. So it's kind of doing what we can to make sure they have access to a really good program that can change their lives. And so we've been, really fortunate. Workforce is one of those that is willing to just, see how can we work with you? You ask the question, how do we make this work for your youth? And I think that's a big part of it. Chris, am I wrong?
No, not at all. And I mean, the staff out there that y'all have is amazing. Working with this population, they're very patient. They take the time. They don't push the young adult to the side because it can be a scary process for a young adult to walk into any building to get help. And so a lot of times our young adults walk right in and then they walk right back out. But with Workforce, we have a point of contact. We give a call and we tell the young adult, okay, you need to speak with Victor in regards to he's going to help you with trying to get your resume going, finding a job, things like that. So very grateful for this partnership that we have with y'all.
For sure. We are definitely, a lot of our focus may be a little bit more employment first. That's kind of our general thought process about everything. But I at least like my team and the other teams in, different areas, working with different groups. It's not even so much about just shoving people into jobs. We could, if we wanted to, we could get hundreds and hundreds of people into Burger King or Subway. But it really is about the population and what they need the most. And I think that it really does take, I think it really does take a special mindset. Like you have to change your mindset when you work with a specific population like the foster youth. Like we can't, as much as we would like to have a one track fits all, it has to be adjusted in some way. And I'm very glad to hear that that we've done that in some capacity with your experience so far. Might put us on the grill a little bit. Is there anything that you guys have seen from Workforce that could be better? Any way that we have not reached as well as we could have, or any thought process like that? And I'm completely open to, like, I'm not trying to gas us up or anything.
Constructive criticism.
I already know Workforce is great. Guys don't have to convince me of that. But I genuinely want to try and get y'all's word out as well as improve what we can do and how we can get better. So that's always a thought process. So is there anything that you guys can think of that may have been good but is not great with our partnership in general?
I'm trying to think, and nothing's coming to mind because Workforce has been wonderful in regards to fitting whatever needs to be done for the young adults that we work with. Y'all have been very open. And okay, let's talk about this. How can we better this process? Do we need to have them fill out a form beforehand? Y'all send it in, and then we'll schedule that appointment with them, or whatever the case may be. I mean, I can't think of a single thing that I can say, okay, I think y'all need to work on this or that. But y'all have been fantastic. So.
Well, I think if there's anything, and you might already do this, but just for a lot of organizations, it's kind of been for us to say, if you can, ask the question, were you ever in foster care? Because that does open up additional resources, including THRU Project, that foster youth should have known about, and but a lot of them just don't, or they were told about it at an age where they weren't really planning very well. So for them they need to know there are resources, or that they have additional ones. So kind of asking the question, were you ever in foster care?
I know on Work in Texas, the website, there is specific questions about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it directly refers out, though. I think it's just more information collection.
Yeah. So within the Youth Empowerment Services program, WSA's youth program, one, being a foster youth does qualify them, and they also get priority of service. Mm-hmm. So we definitely do cater to that population tremendously. So
we appreciate y'all talking to us. This is the THRU Project. If you guys have any questions, we're going to get their contact information, put it down in the description box. We very much appreciate you guys being with us today. And thank you very much for sharing all of this awesome information with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Victor, Keith says hi, Victor.
Okay. Someone said hello.
That being said, another great episode, man.
Another one.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.